Have you ever wondered how the lack of sex might be affecting your life more than you realize? If you think it's not a big deal, or that it's no longer as important at your age, this video is going to surprise you. Because today, we're going to talk about something few dare to say out loud, but it has a much deeper impact than you might imagine, not just on your health, but also on your relationship. So stay with me, because what you discover here could change how you see your intimate life and your overall well-being. I recently spoke with a friend in his 50s. He shared that while he and his wife had been together for years and got along well, the spark in the bedroom had almost completely faded. At first, he didn't think much of it, routine, stress, responsibilities. But over time, he started to notice something else. He felt more irritable, more tired, and worst of all, he began to doubt himself. That confidence he had always had, that sense of security, started to crumble. He said to me, "Celia, I don't know what's happening, but I feel like I'm fading inside." And he's not the only one. According to recent studies, men who go long periods without sexual activity experience higher levels of stress, anxiety, and even a drop in self-esteem. Sound familiar? It's not just a physical thing, it's emotional, it's mental. And what's interesting is that, while many think this is just part of getting older, science tells us otherwise. There are solutions, and the best part is they're within your reach. In this video, I'm going to reveal what experts have discovered about how the lack of sex affects your body and mind, and how, with just a few small changes, you can regain not only your intimate life, but your overall well-being. So if it's your first time here, I invite you to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming content. Let's get started. Let's talk about the silent impact of a lack of sex. Because when you go too long without sexual activity, you're not just putting aside an important part of your intimate life, you're also ignoring what's quietly happening inside your body and mind. First, stress. We all know that daily life brings its fair share of stressful situations, but what you might not realize is that sex is one of the most powerful natural regulators of stress. It's like a pressure valve that, when closed for too long, starts to build tension. According to a study published by the University of Paisley in Scotland, people who maintain an active sex life are much less likely to suffer from high levels of anxiety. The researchers found that during sex, oxytocin is released, a hormone that not only helps you relax but also reduces cortisol, the stress hormone. Now imagine the opposite scenario. When sex disappears from the equation, the body loses one of its most effective ways to release built-up tension. The worst part is that this isn't something you notice right away. It's a slow, subtle process. One day, you wake up and realize you feel more irritable, have a harder time disconnecting from work, or simply don't enjoy things the way you used to. Has that ever happened to you? Then there's self-esteem, something we tend to take for granted until it starts to crumble. A lack of sex can make us feel less attractive, less desired, and over time, we begin to question our self-worth. According to a study from Cornell University, men who maintain a healthy sex life report higher levels of self-satisfaction. And it's not just because of the physical pleasure. Sex strengthens that emotional connection with your partner, making you feel close, valued, and cared for. When that bond weakens, doubts creep in. Does she still find me attractive? Are we not what we used to be? These kinds of thoughts, though they may seem insignificant at first, can slowly chip away at your confidence. And when self-confidence starts to dip, everything around you is affected. Your work, your relationships, even how you face everyday life. This is where the vicious cycle begins. Less sex, more stress, more doubts, less desire to try again. And this doesn't just affect men, your partner feels it too. They may not say it openly, but a lack of intimacy in a relationship can create an emotional distance that's hard to bridge. Have you ever felt like you're more like roommates than a couple? Well, the lack of sex can be the spark that ignites that distance. But here's the most important part. It's not irreversible. It's not a sentence you have to accept with resignation. All of this impact, all of this built-up pressure, can start to reverse once you become aware of it and take steps to fix it. The key is recognizing that the lack of sex isn't just a physical issue, it's an emotional, mental, and relationship challenge. And what comes next is even more revealing because the effect this has on your body, specifically on your hormones, goes far beyond what you might think. Let's talk about how a lack of sex directly affects your testosterone levels and how that could be influencing your energy, your physical health, and of course, your sexual desire. So stick around, because what's coming next is essential to understanding how to break this cycle. Let's dive into something crucial: testosterone, that hormone that's been your ally throughout your life. Believe it or not, a lack of sex has a direct impact on it. And if there's anything that influences your energy, sexual desire, and overall well-being, it's testosterone. When I talk to men over 50, one of the most common things I hear is this inexplicable tiredness, a kind of fatigue that goes beyond just physical exhaustion. Many assume it's just part of aging, but there's something deeper happening, and it has to do with hormonal balance. You see, when you don't have regular sexual activity, your body's testosterone levels start to drop. And here's the interesting part. It's not just about having less sexual desire, it's about how that lack of testosterone affects other areas of your life. Studies, like one conducted by the Endocrine Society, show that men with low testosterone levels experience not only a decrease in libido, but also a general loss of energy, less motivation to exercise, difficulty concentrating, and even sleep problems. And if you've ever had those nights where you toss and turn, unable to switch off, you know how frustrating that can be. Not to mention that poor sleep quality further impacts your testosterone levels, creating a cycle that's hard to break. The body is incredibly smart. When it senses that there's no sexual activity, no need to keep testosterone levels high, it simply reduces production. This can leave you feeling not only more fatigued, but also noticing changes in your physical state. Have you felt weaker lately? As if it's getting harder to maintain the same muscle mass as before? Testosterone plays a crucial role here as well. And while you may not be aiming to be a high-performance athlete at this stage, maintaining a healthy level of this hormone is essential for feeling in control of your body. There's something else that doesn't get mentioned enough. A lack of testosterone also affects erectile function. And I'm not just talking about what happens during sex, but how your body responds throughout the day. You might not notice it right away, but erectile function starts to falter when testosterone drops below certain levels. And this is where frustration begins to creep in. It's very common to think, what's going on with me? That moment when things don't work the way they used to can be a hard hit to your self-confidence. Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." And in this case, it's time to look inside, to become aware of how everything is connected. Because your body, your hormones, your mind are all in constant conversation, and when one of these factors gets thrown off balance, the others start to suffer too. The key here is not to resign yourself. You don't have to accept that declining testosterone is just part of getting older. Maintaining regular sexual activity, whether with your partner or through masturbation, which we'll talk about later, can help keep those levels more stable. And while aging naturally brings certain changes, it doesn't mean you have to lose that vigor, that vitality that has always been part of who you are. Remember, your body responds to what you give it. If you nurture the connection with your partner, if you give yourself time for pleasure, you'll not only be strengthening your relationship, but also supporting your own hormonal balance. And believe me, that feeling of getting your energy back, regaining desire and confidence, can make a world of difference at this stage in your life. And if you're wondering how to keep all this going when maybe your sexual encounters aren't as frequent as they used to be, don't worry. The answer is closer than you think. Because masturbation can be a surprisingly powerful tool for your well-being. Let's dive into that in the next point. Now let's talk about something that's often avoided: masturbation. I know it's not always a comfortable topic, but the truth is, it can be a powerful tool for your well-being. When we talk about sexual health, we tend to focus on relationships with our partners, but self-care and self-awareness also play a crucial role. In fact, masturbation has more benefits than you might think. To start, it's a natural way to keep erectile function in good shape. It's like any other muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. According to a study published in Urology, regular masturbation helps maintain the health of erectile tissues by promoting blood circulation in the area, which is essential for preventing future issues. But it's not just about the physical, it's emotional too. Masturbation also helps reduce stress. When you take a moment for yourself, your body releases endorphins and dopamine, neurotransmitters responsible for feelings of pleasure and well-being. It's almost like hitting a reset button for your mind, releasing built-up tension and helping improve your mood. Plus, this practice can enhance the quality of your sleep, as after orgasm, the body enters a state of deep relaxation. And let's not forget the aspect of self-awareness. Over time, our preferences and desires can change, and knowing your body well keeps you in tune with yourself. In fact, this self-awareness can even enrich your intimate life with your partner because it gives you more confidence to communicate what you like and what you need. Jung would say, "He who knows himself holds the keys to understanding the world." And in this case, understanding yourself can also be the key to improving your intimate life. Masturbation isn't a substitute for sex with a partner, but it is an excellent way to take care of your sexual and emotional health, especially in those moments when intimacy with your partner isn't as frequent. So even though it's a topic that doesn't get talked about much, it's worth recognizing its importance as part of your overall well-being. Now let's talk about something you may not have considered: sex as a vital exercise for your physical health. Yes, it may sound surprising, but maintaining an active sex life isn't just about pleasure. It's also an effective way to care for your body. To start, sex activates your cardiovascular system. It's like a light workout that improves circulation, strengthens the heart, and keeps your blood vessels in good shape. A study published in the American Journal of Cardiology showed that men who have sex twice a week have a significantly lower risk of heart disease compared to those who do it less frequently. So literally, sex helps keep your heart healthy. Did you know that during sex you can burn between 50 and 100 calories in just 30 minutes? While it's not a replacement for the gym, it definitely counts as physical activity. It also helps tone muscles, especially the pelvic muscles, which are crucial for maintaining good erectile function and control. And not only that, these muscles are also key to preventing incontinence as we age. So yes, sex contributes to your pelvic fitness. Sex also releases a good dose of endorphins, which not only boost your mood, but act as a natural painkiller. If you've ever woken up the day after an intimate night feeling more relaxed and without the usual aches, now you know why. This same effect also helps lower blood pressure and fight chronic stress, one of the major issues of our time. Here's another thing you may not have considered. Sex helps regulate your sleep cycles. During orgasm, the body releases prolactin, a hormone that induces sleep and helps you rest better. Ever had a night of insomnia where nothing seems to work? Well, now you know that sex might be a much more effective remedy than counting sheep. As if that weren't enough, having an active sex life also boosts your immune system. A study from Wilkes University in Pennsylvania found that people who have sex once or twice a week have higher levels of immunoglobulin A, an antibody that helps fight infections. So yeah, sex is a natural defense against colds and other ailments. The best part is that you don't have to see it as a task or obligation. It's simply a way to take care of yourself and your partner while enjoying the process. Plus, as we've discussed, good physical health also impacts your emotional state and the connection you share with your partner. Because in the end, true well-being includes mind, body, and emotions. And sex is a powerful tool to keep everything in balance. And if you're thinking the frequency has dropped or it's hard to keep up the pace, don't worry. What's most important is understanding that every bit of activity counts, and there are always ways to revitalize your connection with your partner. And that's exactly what we'll talk about next. Intimate communication, the real key to keeping the passion alive, even at this stage of your life. Now we've reached the heart of it all, intimate communication, because while sex is important for health and well-being, none of that works without good communication with your partner. This is the true foundation for keeping passion alive. Talking about your desires, concerns, or frustrations can feel uncomfortable at first, I get it. Sometimes, out of embarrassment or fear of making the other person uncomfortable, we avoid certain topics. But this creates a silent barrier, a distance that can grow without you realizing it, and that distance is what slowly extinguishes the spark. The first thing to understand is that communication doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be honest. According to a study from the University of California, couples who openly talk about their sex life report higher levels of satisfaction in their relationship. You don't need to have the perfect conversation, but taking small steps towards speaking more openly, without judgment or blame, makes a big difference. Also, sharing your desires and listening to your partners not only strengthens physical intimacy, but emotional intimacy as well. Sometimes it's not about making drastic changes, but rather small adjustments, little details that can make a big impact. It can be as simple as asking, "What would you like to try?" or "How have you been feeling about our intimacy lately?" These questions open the door to connection, to feeling heard, and most importantly, to recognizing that there's still room to explore together. And remember, communication isn't just about what happens in bed. The way you communicate outside of it matters a lot too. Nurturing those moments of emotional connection, talking about your day, sharing worries or joys, all of that helps maintain a sense of closeness. Because intimacy isn't just physical, it's that feeling of closeness and trust that's built through words and actions. So if you feel like the spark has dimmed, don't get discouraged. The solution isn't always about changing what you do in bed, but about how you talk about it. Remember, the path to a fulfilling sex life begins with an open, honest, and most importantly, empathetic conversation. As you've seen, the lack of sex isn't just a physical issue. It's something that impacts many aspects of your life, from emotional health to your relationship with your partner. But the important thing to understand here is that it's never too late to change course. It doesn't matter if you've spent years feeling like the spark has faded, or if your energy levels aren't what they used to be. There's always room to regain that vitality, that connection with both your body and the person you love. The first step is simple. Recognize what's happening and be willing to act. Don't settle for the comfort of, "This is just how things are," because this stage of life can be just as vibrant and intimate as any other. Reclaiming your sex life not only strengthens your relationship, but it also boosts your confidence, physical health, and mental well-being. And while it may seem like a challenge at first, the rewards are endless. My name is Celia, and I want this to be a space where we can openly talk about these important topics, without filters, but always with respect. Together, I want us to find ways to improve our daily quality of life, not just in intimacy, but in everything we do. Because in the end, every small change we make in ourselves reflects in our relationships and overall well-being. If this is your first time on the channel, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming topics we'll be covering. And if you've made it this far, it means you take your personal growth seriously, and that deserves recognition. To know who the committed ones are that stayed until the end, comment with the phrase, "I love wisdom." I'd love to read your comments and see who's with me on this journey of self-discovery. And don't leave without sharing this video with your loved ones. Maybe someone in your life needs to hear these words today and gain a fresh perspective. Sometimes a small piece of advice can make a big difference. See you in the next video.